Hello and welcome. This is Shira Khan. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to speak to you about hunger today. Hunger has been much distorted, and there have been many associations placed with hunger that actually don't belong there. When I was in the diet world, if I was hungry, it meant that I was being virtuous, that I was lovable, actually, and that I was on a track to make my dreams come true, whether that would be to get a job or to be in a relationship. I also associated it with starvation because the first time I truly knew hunger was when I was 12 and I did one of those diets that were in the magazines at the time where you made orangeade for 3 days, a tiny, tiny bit of orange juice in many quarts of water and drank that, and then just ate plain chicken. It was a 9-day diet and I followed it to the letter. I was 12 years old, my body was growing, and I was starving. I was so hungry. When the diet was over, I couldn't stop eating. Food never tasted so good to me. So I think that scared me. But at the same time, I did lose weight. So it gave me that binary association with hunger of that it was a good thing and virtuous and that I should do it. And also that it was scary and it would be something that would be imposed on me. This would be a good time to review your own associations with hunger, just to jot down any positive associations you have and any negative associations you have with it. So feel free to pause the recording to go ahead and do that. When I began to learn about the non-diet mentality and how to relate to my body with love, what I learned about hunger is that it's a physical process that signifies that it's time to eat. And that's all it really is. In the non-diet mentality, it doesn't have the associations that I had with it before. So what I'd like to now teach you or talk to you about is the process of getting hungry, also to make a distinction between plain hunger and being in a low blood sugar state. So plain hunger is what I call it when all the food is digested out of your system from a previous meal. So your stomach is empty, but you haven't started yet to go into a low blood sugar state. The physical signs of what I call plain zero, and that comes from using a scale of 0 to 10 to think of your stomach as a fuel tank and gauge if it's empty, moderately full is 5, or so full you couldn't possibly take another bite is 10. And on this scale, there are minus numbers to indicate low blood sugar states. So -1, -2, -3 is also on the scale. A plain zero is when the food is digested and you haven't entered into a low blood sugar state yet. The physical characteristic of a plain zero is growling. So when I'm giving this material as a workshop, I have people list all their signs of physical hunger. And when people first enter into this conversation, it's quite a long list. And people include things like headaches, clamminess, fatigue, loss of concentration, irritability. But those 5 things I just named, those are distinct from plain hunger because those are signs that there are changes in your brain chemistry. And when it comes to hunger, your brain chemistry changes only because blood glucose is so low that the brain is no longer supplied with energy. Blood glucose is the only energy supply for the brain. So when it's low, then the brain cannot function optimally. And then these changes in mood and in functionality and in brain function occur. For those of you who know about what I teach about how the non-diet mentality creates a fight, flight, or freeze response. And also, if a person has a fight, flight, or freeze response as a result of what's happening in her personal life, the fight, flight, or freeze response is why somebody would either try to restrict or overeat in order to numb out the fight, flight, or freeze, get relief from it. It's important to note that the low blood sugar state is similar to the fight, flight, or freeze state that occurs those other times. So for those reasons, you never want to get into a low blood sugar state. I don't advise any system that encourages you to stay hungry. When you're at a plane zero and your stomach growls, it is time to eat. That's what it means. It's not time to eat yet if there's still food in your stomach. It's not time to eat yet if you're anxious, if you feel like eating, but your stomach's not empty. If you're in a certain mood and you want to eat, those are not the reasons. The reason is if you're at a plane zero and your stomach is empty and you have felt a gurgle or a growl. So this being said about hunger, I wanted to add that while I used to be afraid of hunger and I used to associate it with a certain kind of being virtuous, I now think of it as it's my meditation out breath mark. It's a way that I know my body is working properly and that I've eaten an amount of food that feels good to me and that I'm ready to take in more energy. I have actually respect and affection for hunger. I see it as nature's way of regulating my eating, nature's way of telling me that it's time to eat, the same way that temperature and the quality of the light tell the trees that it's time to drop their leaves. So I don't like when anybody tries to get in the way of me responding to my hunger and listening to my hunger. I let myself get hungry throughout the day, and then I enjoy food more because I'm hungry. I don't like to eat an amount of food that's going to make it so I can't get hungry when it's the next time to eat a meal. I don't like that interruption. So I hope this informational audio helped you get into a relationship with your own hunger and see it as the part of nature and the helpful function that it is. I wish you the best.